Hello everybody, yes, how are we all doing? It is the Fredders93 here, and welcome back to another edition of Football with Fredders, the weekly football chat and discussion show here on the channel. Not too much has really changed so much in the last week of football, but we do know of one thing. It's a case of one in, one out at Bayern Munich. On their way out is their left back, comes centre back, comes CDM, David Alaba, the Austrian international who has been with Bayern Munich for 13 years, has recently announced he will be leaving the Bavarians at the end of the current season. Where he's going to go is anybody's guess. A man of his caliber has already been linked with a huge caliber of the top clubs, in particular Real Madrid. Whether he goes to there, whether he comes to the Premier League, it remains to be seen. He's definitely going to end up in either the La Liga or the Premier League next season, that's for definite. So who's going to be replacing Alaba at centre-back? It's going to be RB Leipzig's Deo Upamecano. Now, anyone that really follows the Bundesliga will know how big of a name Deo Upamecano is. He is a top rising prospect in Leipzig, in particular for French football. He's been linked, or he had been linked in the past with Liverpool, so I'm a bit surprised that Liverpool hadn't gone for him when they're having their troubles in the centre-back position recently. That would be more of a reasonable signing for them as opposed to Ben Davies from Preston, in just my personal opinion. But unsurprisingly, it's yet another talent from the Bundesliga snapped up by Bayern Munich, and he's going to them for his €42.5 million release clause, or the equivalent of £38 million. Something that has been on the sudden increase as well is social media around football being used for the very wrong reasons. There's been reports coming out that a minority of Newcastle United fans have actually sent abuse and rather unpleasant messages to Steve Bruce, largely on social media. And to be honest, speaking as a Newcastle fan, I don't condone this. I think, yes, watching Newcastle United is not always a pleasant experience, I can assure you that as a fan, but it does not need to stand to that sort of level, and I hope that the minority of the fans that are doing this wake up and see a little bit of sense, because messages like that are just not going to solve anything, and particularly in a time where mental health is important, now more than ever. You need to think about the person who's going to read the messages, how they're going to be affected by the messages. Like, they're probably feeling the pressure in their job enough as it is. They don't need anything else. So it's very much like a think before you tweet, or think before you post, that kind of thing, really, be honest. And the same thing can also go for the sudden spike in which we have seen in regards to the amount of racial abuse that has unfortunately come to some footballers' way. Axel Tuanzebe, I believe, has now been a victim of it twice. Marcus Rashford has been a victim of it recently after the 0-0 draw against Arsenal. Anthony Martial has been victim of it after the 1-1 draw of West Brom. Reece James, I believe, has come into it as well, and his sister as well, who I believe plays for Manchester United's women's team as well. I believe she's coming for some as well. And the social media companies need to do more with this. I mean, we've seen the open letter that has gone from the Premier League to the owners of Twitter and Facebook. The owners of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, really should take into this more, because it's not just Facebook under his blanket. It is WhatsApp is under that as well, even though there's not a huge amount that WhatsApp can really do with their messages. But also Instagram is another thing that comes under the sort of the umbrella portfolio for their social media sort of tiles. More really does need to be done. Like, not just like the occasional like mini post ban on these sort of sites. No, it needs to go to permanent expulsion off these platforms. It needs, if it does need to come to it, then authorities should come into it, because we've seen it as well with Mike Dean as well. I know it's not an issue of race with Mike Dean, it goes back more to the issue that Steve Bruce has been having, where Mike Dean has recently come into some unpleasant messages from his most recent refereeing performances. He had actually asked not to officiate any of the Premier League games just gone because of that. And I think if it gets to a point where a man is so like frightened of the messages that he's been getting, that he's had to ask like basically not do his job, like what can you say apart from you just can't stay clear of this any longer. You just can't. Stuff really needs to be done. So this is going to be brief, but it's dealt with a lot of deep subjects. So yes, that's going to do it for this shorter version of Football with Fredders this week. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Do leave that like, subscribe if you're new, follow our social medias. I'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye for now.